The front door clicked shut. Silence. For the first time, 10-year-old Nour was home alone with her baby brother. Her parents had just left for work. She took a deep, steadying breath and walked over to the crib. The tiny bundle was still fast asleep, his little chest rising and falling rhythmically. This was it. Her official first day as the little guardian. She felt a mix of nerves and excitement bubble up inside her. She was a naturally patient and observant kid, and she knew she could do this. This wasn't just babysitting, it was a mission, and she was ready. A few hours later, the silence was shattered. A sharp, piercing cry echoed from the nursery. The baby was awake, and he was hungry. Nour's heart did a little flip, but she didn't panic. She walked calmly to the room, her footsteps soft on the floor. "Hey there, little guy," she cooed, her voice gentle and low. "I hear you. You're hungry, aren't you?" She scooped him up, his cries softening just a little at the contact. In the kitchen, she felt like a scientist in a lab. She remembered her mom's instructions perfectly. 3 scoops of formula, exactly to the line, with warm water. She swirled the bottle, testing a drop on her wrist, just like she'd seen her mom do 100 times. It was the perfect temperature. She settled into the big armchair in the living room, the baby cradled in her arms. As he started to drink, his cries subsided into soft, happy gurgles. Nour looked down at him, a wave of affection washing over her. This wasn't just about feeding him, it was about connecting with him. She started humming a little tune her mom always sang, and his eyes, big and blue, stared right up at her. The stressful moment had melted away, leaving behind a warm, quiet bond between a sister and her baby brother. She realized that being calm wasn't just for her, it was for him too. With a full tummy, the baby was ready for some playtime. Nour placed him in his electric baby rocker, his favorite spot for a little post-meal relaxation. The gentle swinging motion always did the trick, but nothing. The rocker was still. The baby, sensing the lack of motion, started to fuss. A knot of worry tightened in Nour's stomach. What if she couldn't fix it? What if he started crying again? But then, another part of her kicked in, the part that loved figuring things out. She'd always had a knack for mechanics, a quiet talent for understanding how things worked. Instead of panicking, she got curious. She gently lifted the baby out and set him on a soft blanket nearby with a toy. Then she turned the rocker over. She noticed a small screw on the battery cover. Running to the kitchen junk drawer, she found her dad's small set of screwdrivers. Selecting the right one felt like choosing the perfect key for a lock. She carefully unscrewed the cover and saw the problem immediately. One of the batteries had shifted its metal contact point just slightly out of place. It was such a simple thing. With the tip of the screwdriver, she nudged the battery back into position, making sure the connection was snug. She screwed the cover back on, her movements precise and confident. Holding her breath, she flipped the switch. The rocker hummed to life, swinging back and forth in its gentle, rhythmic arc. A huge grin spread across Nour's face. She placed the baby back inside, and as the rocker started to move, he let out a happy giggle. The sound was like a medal for her victory. She hadn't just fixed a toy, she had solved a problem all by herself. It was a powerful feeling, knowing her own skills could bring so much comfort and joy. She was more than just a babysitter, she was a problem solver, a fixer. As the afternoon sun streamed through the window, casting a warm glow across the room, the baby started to get a little restless again. He was fed, he was rocked, but now he was bored. Nour knew she needed to find a way to keep him entertained. Her eyes landed on her art box, overflowing with colorful paper, markers, and tape. An idea sparked. She wasn't just a mechanic, she was an artist, too. She pulled out several large sheets of white paper and her brightest markers. She started drawing big, bold shapes, a brilliant red circle, a sunny yellow star, a deep blue square, and a vibrant green triangle. The colors were so bright they almost seemed to jump off the page. Once she had a collection of colorful shapes, she got the roll of tape. She carefully taped the drawings to the living room floor, arranging them in a little semicircle. It was time for what her mom called tummy time. She laid her brother down on his stomach in the middle of her creation. At first, he just blinked, but then, his eyes widened. He pushed up on his tiny arms, his head lifting to get a better look. He stared at the red circle, then shifted his gaze to the blue square. He was mesmerized. It was like his own private art gallery, a sensory playground made just for him. Nour lay on the floor next to him, watching him explore his new world. He was so captivated, so engaged. An entire hour passed in what felt like minutes, filled with quiet discovery and the soft light of the afternoon. Playtime was going great, but then came the next mini-crisis. Her brother started to fuss, rubbing his face with his tiny fists. Nour knew exactly what he wanted, his favorite pacifier. It was a specific one, the pale green one with the little bear on it. The problem was, it was gone. It had been right there a minute ago, and now it had vanished. She looked around the play area, under the blanket, behind the couch cushions, nothing. The baby's fussing grew louder. This was a job for Nour the detective. She stood up and took a deep breath, trying to think logically. Where had they been? What had they been doing? She began to retrace their steps, a mental map forming in her mind. Okay, she whispered to herself, we were here by the art gallery, and then you rolled over toward the toy bin. She walked over to the bin, a colorful plastic box filled with rattles, stacking rings, and soft blocks. She started to carefully take the toys out one by one, placing them in a neat pile on the floor. Her brother watched her, his whimpers quieting a little as he saw her focused on her task. She reached the bottom of the bin, her fingers brushing against something smooth and plastic. There it was. The lost pacifier, hiding sneakily beneath a plush elephant. Aha! She exclaimed softly. She rinsed it off quickly at the kitchen sink and gave it to him. He took it happily, and a blissful silence fell over the room once more. The case of the lost pacifier was closed. The clock on the wall showed it was almost 5. Her parents would be home soon. Looking around the living room, Nour saw the evidence of their busy day. Drawings were still taped to the floor, toys were scattered from the pacifier search, and the baby's bottle was on the coffee table. She wanted her parents to come home to the same calm, quiet house they had left. She scooped up her brother, who was now dozing off again, and put him back in his crib for a nap. Then, she got to work. With a burst of energy, she untapped the drawings and stacked them neatly, put all the toys back in the bin, and washed the bottle in the sink. In just 10 minutes, the living room was transformed. It was tidy, peaceful, and looked as if the day's adventures had never even happened. Just as she finished fluffing the last couch cushion, she heard the key in the front door. Her parents walked in, looking tired from their day at work. They paused in the doorway, taking in the scene. The house was quiet, the living room was spotless, and from the nursery, they could hear the soft, even breathing of their sleeping baby. Her mom smiled, a look of surprise and pride on her face. "Wow, Nour," she said, her voice soft. "It's so peaceful in here." Her dad came over and gave her a gentle hug. "You did an amazing job, sweetheart." In that moment, Nour felt a massive wave of accomplishment wash over her. It was a feeling bigger and better than fixing a rocker or finding a lost pacifier. She realized that her patience, her creativity, and her ability to stay calm under pressure made her more capable than she had ever imagined. She wasn't just the little guardian for a day, she was strong, smart, and ready for anything. And she couldn't wait for her next adventure.